You ever look at a map of the Middle East and just wonder, how did it get that shape? Why did events that happened 100 years ago feel like they're still playing out on the news tonight? Well, today we're going to connect those dots. We're tracing it all back to the secret deals and the broken promises that literally drew the borders we see today.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a question that, a lot of people ask. It's a huge paradox, right? On one hand, you've got these nations with incredible wealth, but on the other, they often seem unable to really move the needle on major global issues. The answer, though, it's not in today's headlines. Nope. To find it, you have to go back.
So to really get to the bottom of this, here's the path we're going to take. We'll start with a dying empire, see how a promise of freedom sparked a massive revolt, then watch as that revolt was met with a devastating betrayal. And finally, see how that 100-year-old legacy is still very much alive and kicking today.
Right. Our story kicks off a little over a century ago. You've got the once unstoppable Ottoman Empire, the caliphate for Muslims all over the world, and it's breathing its last. A giant power vacuum is about to open up, and believe me, the whole world is watching.
I understand, for centuries, 400 years, things were actually pretty stable. It wasn't really seen as a Turkish empire ruling over Arabs. It was seen as the caliphate for all Muslims. That shared religious identity, that was the glue holding it all together. But that glue was about to come undone big time. Bam! Everything changes. A new political party, the Young Turks, they grab power, and they basically throw out that whole inclusive idea of a Muslim caliphate. They swap it for this super intense nationalist slogan, Turkey for the Turks. And just like that, Arabs went from being brothers in faith to being a minority, a group to be blamed for the empire's problem.
This wasn't just about politics. This was a direct cultural attack. They started restricting the Arabic language. You can imagine the resentment that caused. They were basically lighting the fuse for a full-blown rebellion. And you can bet an outside power was watching all of this, just waiting for this exact opportunity.
That brings us to Great Britain. With World War I raging, they saw all this internal turmoil in the Ottoman Empire as a golden opportunity, a perfect chance to break their enemy from the inside out.
The British plan. And honestly, it was pretty genius in a ruthless kind of way. Find a powerful, respected Arab leader. Promise him the world. Literally, a single, massive, independent Arab kingdom. And then just step back and watch him tear the Ottoman Empire apart from within.
They didn't just pick anybody. Oh no. They found the absolute perfect candidate, Sharif Hussein bin Ali. Look at this resume. A direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. His family had controlled Mecca for 700 years. In terms of religious and political legitimacy, this guy was the real deal. He was the key. The offer they put on the table? It was breathtaking. It wasn't just, we'll help you get free. It was, lead this fight for us, and we will make you the king of a vast, new Arab state. How could anyone say no to that? It was a dream worth fighting and dying for. Of course, fueled by this incredible promise, the Arab revolt kicks off. But here's the thing, the Arab fighters had no way of knowing. They were just pawns in a much, much larger and more cynical game. And this is where it gets really dirty. While Arab soldiers are out there in the desert fighting and dying for their promised kingdom, the British are in a back room secretly signing the Balfour Declaration, a completely contradictory promise to another group for the exact same piece of land. To give you an idea of how much control the British had, their guy on the ground, the famous Lawrence of Arabia, he literally held auditions for Sharif Hussein's sons. He interviewed them and then handpicked the one he thought would be the most loyal to British interests to lead the Arab.
So, the war ends. The Ottoman Empire's history, thanks in huge part to the Arab revolt. And the Arabs show up ready to cash in on that promise they were made. And that's when they discovered the devastating truth. The whole thing was a lie.
And right here is where that dream of a unified Arab nation just gets shattered into a million pieces. The promise of one great country? Nope. It gets replaced by the divided up, fragmented map we all recognize today.
So, the Ottoman Caliphate is officially gone, right? This creates a massive power vacuum at the very top of the Muslim world. So Sharif Hussein, who's the most respected and powerful leader in the region, does the natural thing. He steps up and says, okay, I'm the new caliph. But that made him way, way too powerful for his so-called allies.
The British handled this was just ruthlessly efficient. The second Hussein defied them on their plans for Palestine, he became a liability. So, what did they do? They cut him off. They found a more obedient rival, Ibn Saud, and started giving him weapons and support. They basically just watched as Ibn Saud conquers Hussein's lands. And to finish the job, they arrested Hussein and shipped him off to exile on an island. Problem solved.
Instead of that one powerful, unified Arab kingdom they were promised, the British and French just got out a ruler and a pencil and carved the whole region up into these little states. It's the oldest trick in the book, divide and conquer. You make sure no one is ever strong enough to challenge your control.
Okay, so let's bring this all the way to the present day. Because that system, that playbook for control that was written 100 years ago, it never really went away. It just got passed down from one power to another. The model they created was simple, and man, was it effective. You install rulers who are loyal to your interests, to Western interests, not necessarily to their own people. And when the British Empire started to fade, the United States just stepped right in and took over as the new manager of the system.
And you really don't have to look far to see what happens to leaders in the region who try to break that mold. I mean, look at this list. From King Faisal to Mohammed Morsi, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, those who challenged the established order were often removed. It sends a pretty clear message to everybody else, doesn't it?
That brings us full circle, right back to the question we started with. That feeling of powerlessness isn't an accident. It's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. The system was designed to work exactly this way, right from the very beginning, a century ago.
Really, if you want to understand what's happening in the Middle East today, you can't just look at the 24-hour news cycle. You have to look back 100 years. The lines on the map, the flow of power, it all traces back to this one story. And it leaves us with one final big question to think about. A century later, has this cycle of influence ever really been broken?